Hey, good morning, sunshine. We are on the road for Foodie Friday, and we are at Sol de Cuba in New Haven this morning. Had my little cafecito. I'm going to be bouncing off the walls this morning. Let me go ahead and introduce you to the owner. We have Jesus Puerto. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you all. Thanks so much. Thanks, viewers. Thank you, Symphony, for coming out here and be with us today.
We are so excited to be here this morning. So you've already whipped up a little something special for us. Tell me what we have here.
This is a traditional Spanish tortilla, but made with a very Cuban flair. So instead of eggs and onions and potatoes, we exchange the potatoes for malanga. So malanga, also known as taro, is a root crop that is native to the Caribbean and the Pacific Islands and many tropical areas. Yeah.
Had that in Hawaii.
Yeah,
a little familiar
absolutely.
with the taro plant.
Right. That's right.
All right. So what's the drizzle on top?
The drizzle on top is just a garlic aioli.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay, now you guys have a bunch of items, and we've had the cafecito. I'm about to be bouncing off the walls. You've got the lunch. You're also whipping up a little dessert for us. Yeah. Now, we do have a little bit of time here, but tell me a little bit about how long you've been out here.
We're going into my 18th year, right here on the corner of Crown and High, downtown New Haven. It's a traditional Cuban restaurant. I showcase my family images, so the history of my family's migration from Guanabacoa, Cuba, just outside of Havana. Coming over in the late 1800s, and they were part of a small Cuban community in Tampa, where we still have descendants of that community there today, and they were all cigar workers, so working in cigar factories there. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we're going to hear much more about those historical roots because, that's just part of the love that goes into this food.
Absolutely.
All right. So make sure you stay with us. We've got much more ahead for you coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. I don't know if I'm going to have more cafecito. We'll see you later.
We're combining Foodie Friday and Hispanic Heritage Month. This morning, we're at Sol de Cuba in New Haven.
And we're getting out to Symphony Privet. She has a taste of the town. Everything is looking good, right, Symphony?
Yes, listen, let me tell you something. I have loved being here this morning. Got me started with the cafecito. I'm ready to go. The gears are shifting. And we also had a breakfast dish, a tortilla breakfast dish. So now we're moving on to something else. Let's take you guys into the kitchen. All right, see what we have cooking here. We're gonna meet the woman that cooks up all this delicious stuff, you guys, coming into the kitchen this morning. Good morning, ladies. Okay, so they have prepared something for us here. We're meeting with Chef Adisa. So what do we have here?
We have here our lechon. We had to marinate today with all special ingredients and our special mojo. That's a Cuban tradition.
Okay, so do you just apply all of this at the same time and just kind of massage it with love?
Yeah. That's the special side.
Okay. All right, so we're going to let her get to work. Let's talk a little bit more about, this meal and some of the historical context behind it, rather. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it's traditional Cuban mojo, right? And mojo is spelled M-O-J-O. A lot of people think it's mojo, but, it's not. It's mojo, and it's the way that in Cuba, typically we would use garlic, onion, citrus, and vinegar concoction to marinate our traditional roast pork. All right, and our mojo now, we use it in various ways. We use it as a simmer sauce, as well as a saute sauce, and even a lot of the students here at Yale, they use it as a pizza dipping sauce. Yeah. So we've come up, and we have not just a traditional flavor of mojo, but we also have one where we add a habanero pepper to give it a little kick.
Listen, I told you I like the kick. I like the spice.
That's right.
The spicier, the better.
Yeah. And so the mojo is probably, from my research, it looks like it came over from the Canary Islands and from Portuguese influence. There they have a very, very similar condiment and marinade that's called mojo. And I see this connection. And of course we know through the slave trade and importation, this movement from the other side of the Atlantic was happening since, before the 1600s, right? So, this influence, this is very common in Cuba to use mojo.
All right, looks good, smells good. And you know, you gotta season your food. Give it love, massage it. Look, she's getting ready, she's rubbing it down. We don't like bland food, y'all, and you're not gonna get that in the Cuban culture. All right, well, we're gonna let Chef Adisa get to work. I can't wait to taste this.
Welcome back. It's Foodie Friday, and today we're heading out to New Haven to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
Symphony Privet is at Sol de Cuba right now in New Haven. Symphony, what's going on?
Hey, a lot of good stuff cooking here. We have the cafecito, we have breakfast. Now it's time for another dish. Come on back around here. Let's talk about what we have going on here. This looks delicious. All right.
We have it's a Cuban sandwich, all right? And I want to just talk a little bit about the history of the Cuban sandwich. Everyone always asks me, Jesus, where does this Cuban sandwich come from? And I tell you, if you go to Cuba and you sit down with any of my family members and ask for a Cuban sandwich, they'll look at you in a strange way because it's not a typical menu item or dish that you'll find in Cuba. Gotcha. Cuban sandwiches were created in Tampa, Florida, the home of my ancestors. My great-grandparents came over to work in cigar factories, along with, besides Cubans, were Spaniards who came as well as Italians from Sicily, and as well as people from Germany. So this Cuban sandwich is a real story of a real American immigration story, a migration story. And so that's why in the Cuban sandwich, you always have the pickle and the Swiss cheese. That's the German influence. The Genoa salami is the Italian influence. The smoked ham is the Spanish influence. And the Cuban roast pork cooked with traditional Cuban mojo, that garlic, onion, citrus vinegar marinade. That is what makes a real Cuban sandwich.
So that's what we saw Adisa cooking up in the kitchen earlier with the prep.
She was cooking
rubbing the meat with love, like I said.
That's right. That's right. And we always use a Cuban bread or an Italian-style bread to put the sandwich together. All right, and a lot of people really like mustard and mayo mix that we have on it, and that's how I grew up eating them in Tampa. And I'm ready for your tasting experience.
Let's get to it. Enough talking, let's start eating. Here we go. That's why it's Foodie Friday, so let's eat. All right. All right, here we go. Going in. All right. This is delicious. Hold on, y'all. I think I took a big bite. So this is good. Now, what are some of the popular drinks that go along with this? Like we were making a mojito earlier. Break that down for us.
Yeah, the mojito is a cocktail that was, as I understand the history, it was made in Cuba originally during U.S. prohibition on alcohol. And so a bartender from New York went down to Cuba, became a bartender there in Havana, and took local mint and limes and muddled them together with a little sugar, rum and soda, did a little shake, and he came up with the mojito. It became a big hit, and it's been a big hit ever since then. And it's it's actually, our most popular cocktail here in our restaurant.
Yeah, very refreshing. Let me tell you guys something. This place is a vibe. I'm feeling it between, we'll be getting quite the history lesson this morning from Jesus. Really cool stuff. The music, the food, it's just, you feel it. You feel good. I want to do like a little, I don't know, I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm working on it. Working on it with the salsa music. Well, thank you so much. We're going to come back in the 10 o'clock hour. Time to take on dessert. Pedro and I, Photog Pedro, we're going to work on this Cuban sandwich. Back to you guys.
Symphony, have a bite for me or a whole.
That's a nice crisp on the bread,
really, really good.
I loved learning about all the different influences that went into the.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah, really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Symphony. Thank you so much.
Well, meantime, it is Foodie Friday, and today we're heading out to New Haven to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yeah, Symphony Privet is at Sol de Cuba right now. Symphony, you've been having a great morning. I hope it continues. What's going on?
Yeah, let me tell you guys, I've been living my best life this morning. Now, you guys know I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of being here in Connecticut, and one of the things I love the most is just the diversity, and I would only be able to get this food when I would vacation in Florida, but now I don't have to go that far. We had some good breakfast, the cafecito, the Cuban sandwich. now it is time for dessert. If you're like me, you're always that person that's like, now I need a little something sweet just to, you know, cap off the day. So what do we have here? Chef Adish freshly dropping off some, what is this?
That's our traditional Cuban flan.
Flan. My mom loves flan. Okay.
Oh, good. That's
So
very
what
good.
is it made up of? What's in it?
We use evaporated milk, condensed milk, eggs, and vanilla.
Okay. Sounds like it's going to hit the spot. All right, so shall we dig in?
You ready to try?
Okay. We're going to get some silverware here, guys. You guys, this has been such a treat today. I think I landed the best assignment of the morning. All right, here we go. Do I just like take a little corner piece here?
Go ahead and
okay.
That's yours. You're taking it.
All right. I think this might be my first time having flan in years. Years. All right. All right, here we go. This is, oh, I'm so sorry, Pedro. This is perfect. When I said I needed something sweet to wrap it all up, that is delicious. Oh my goodness. I want to take some of that home. Can we do that, Jesus? All right, I'm going to come back around here to chat with Jesus as we wrap this up. We really appreciate you waking up with us super early and letting us, you know, preview what you have here and learning more about the Cuban culture through the food.
Thank you, Symphony. Thank you all. Thank you, Pedro. Thanks for all the viewers for coming out and spending time with us here today. It's an honor and a pleasure to serve the community here in New Haven. And we've been here for 18 years and looking forward to many, many, many more.
Yeah. And I've already had some of the viewers hit me up on Instagram. They're watching us live throughout the morning, and they're like, hey, girl, you got to try the flan. You got to try, you know, something else here. I go here with my parents all the time. So good stuff. You're known around here.
Yeah, we've been here a minute, you know, so, and I think people really like the flavors. And also for those that have never tried Cuban food, this is a great launching pad for them. They love to come in and just taste for the first time and be surprised, and they become customers automatically. So, you know, we're a small restaurant, only 30 seats, so there's always a wait, but, you know, just you can make reservations, just come on down and spend time with us and learn about our culture.
Right, and you also had another dessert here that you put a little spin on. We won't have a chance to eat it today, but can you just tell us about it?
Absolutely. We have the guava and cheese empanada. You know, growing up as a kid in Tampa, you know, and visiting other relatives, we'd always have the guava and cheese pastry that we'd get from local bakeries. And I always wanted to mix the cream cheese and the guava, so I did that, and I created a pastry dough, and I dropped that into the deep fryer, and it's a guava and cheese empanada. So you got to come down and try that. Everybody loves it. Yeah, so
a lot to try, some good stuff. I'm not making this up, y'all. Come get the time, have the time of your life down here. Enjoy the music. You know, I tried to do my best little salsa moves. We're gonna work on that, and don't go on Twitter clowning me for my moves. I'm working on it. I'm learning. All right, live in New Haven. Back to you guys.
Symphony, thanks so much. That was a party flan. Flan, excuse me.
Yeah.
It was like massive.
Biggest one I've ever seen.
Don't get a Costco cake, get the party flan.
Sheet flan.
You can put some icing on top and then say happy birthday, Erica. You know, it's a the birthday.
But it was really interesting finding out about all the cultures and how they came together.
I agree.
There.
Jesus is a good guy. Great restaurant. I've been there a number of times. Down on the shoreline. It is good stuff. We'll get a high.